La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. My explosion, my disco explosion. If you wanna go have a party.
It's the hot dog hour here.
What up, y'all?
I love hot dogs so much I shoved one up my ass in one of the.
We
That
have a
is
special
accurate.
guest this week. It's Spencer Rice.
Spencer
That's
Rice, everyone. Round of
Sorry,
applause.
I'm on your Wikipedia. No, I'm just looking at your things.
Dude,
And I don't have my
research.
glasses.
Research
You're an
while the
extra.
show's on. I love that.
You were an extra in the Hunger Games?
No.
Oh, wow.
It also says on Wikipedia that I was born of anal birth, so I
So
stopped
it's all
looking at that.
facts.
And you were the voice actor for Littlefoot in The Land Before Time. You got some range on you.
Wow.
Except I've never
Wow.
done any of that, so it's a fictitious range.
No. Hit it, Z.
No, in all seriousness, one of the core parts of the great cult reality show, Kenny versus Spenny. Obviously, if you're watching, you probably know that. Most of our subscribers know that. Most of our subscribers want game updates, and shut up, they're coming. Leave me alone. All right.
Yeah, let a man work.
No, it
As long
is
as you're
crazy.
not calling me a pedophile, then that's a win for me.
Yeah. I'm like,
But
that's how
no,
I feel I can take it. If you can take it, man, I can take the little bit that I get here, so.
Take it.
but yeah, so Kenny versus Spenny was a huge part of our. I mean, we were mostly. When did we start watching? Early teenagers, probably.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
so
thought
I
that
would
was
say
15.
2006, 2007-ish.
And then we revisit it every couple years and watch every episode. It's like it helped shape us comedically and all of that. But growing up in Idaho Falls, no one else knew what the show was ever.
Yeah,
And it was
which is weird. Our friends knew because we spread it, but it was
Yeah.
like, you couldn't just mention it to just anybody and they'd be like, oh, yeah, But
So with kind of that topic, Spenny, if you were gonna like show somebody that show like they had never heard of it, what would be like the episode that you would be the most proud of, and like the first one you would show
Proud.
people?
I don't know about proud, but I would say octopus, fart, or naked. One of those three, or all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I always felt like naked would be a good one for you because you kind of like faced a fear in that episode.
Yes.
I feel like most of us probably have, being naked and having all these cameras on you the whole time.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
Yeah. It's much worse than like a nudist colony. It's you've got the thousands, if not 100,000 people watching, even more.
Oh God.
yeah,
I'm-
and
I'm
not
a-
everybody.
I'm a
Sorry.
grower, not a shower, so it's people
Hey,
don't
dude.
like that
Prove
kind of
it.
nuance. They just want to make small dick jokes. So it's
Yeah.
any reasons to not enjoy doing that. But it's a funny episode for sure.
oh yeah, it's a classic, definitely.
Hey man, I went through a similar thing. I used to be self-conscious, and so I would get drunk and get naked around these guys. So
Maybe you'll keep
that's
that.
it.
It's like exposure therapy.
Yeah.
And we did give him the small dick jokes also. So
Still got it.
Oh, got it. No, the fart episode was the first one that I showed my two. I have two boys. They're 9 and 11.
I'm calling Child Protective Services.
And it's funny that farts are I mean, they're probably the most funny when you're a kid, but
They're universally funny.
they're universally
yes.
funny.
Yeah.
And I love that through the generations that episode will hit. I'm going to show my grandkids one day.
I just released my commentary on it just like an hour ago on
nice.
Patreon and some teasers that on the other social media platforms. So yeah, it's a great show.
is
That's
that on
awesome.
your
I'd love to.
Sorry, Jay. I was just gonna say, is that on your Patreon?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone,
Eventually I'll release them to the people that won't give me money, but they're gonna have to wait a little.
yeah, you got to start with the true fans first.
For
Yeah.
sure.
You know.
Yeah. I was curious, like, I don't know. Do you like how much did that show affect or shape your life? Like, because I don't know how big that was to you. I don't know what
It's
else.
totally huge, and it basically, most importantly, made me not have a day job for fucking decades now.
Jealous
Hell
of
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But no, I look, it's I've been saying a lot, talking a lot about this. It's for me, it's a bit of a blessing and a bit of a curse. The blessing, of course, is the show's great and I love it. Uh, the curse is I've got to keep talking about it for 20 years to guys like you.
Yeah.
And
And
I
And
do other things. I play music. But at the end of the day, the reality breaks down that the fans want Kenny versus Spenny content, whether it's direct or indirect or commentary. And it upset me a lot for a long time, and now I've just come to realize I'm still lucky. Uh, I'm lucky that
yeah,
somebody likes the show so much. But I can imagine what Carol O'Connor or Michael Richards from Seinfeld went through. You do something so popular, nobody
Yeah.
wants to see anything else.
Well,
Oh
we
yeah.
are huge Kenny versus Spenny fans, and we said that we'd talk a bit about it.
Yeah, no, go ahead, talk.
But we
I
we
like
also
I,
want to get to know you as a person and all that.
yeah,
Yeah, because we
So,
understand. I mean, honestly, if you go through and watch any appearance you've had on any other podcast, any other interviews, most of all of these questions have been answered. Like, oh, did you talk to that Donna girl from the Kiss episode?
yeah.
Oh, this and that. Like,
What's your
we've
worst
heard.
humiliation? What's your favorite humiliation? Are you and
Yeah,
Kenny
like,
really friends? I know them all. I've been
yeah,
hearing them.
we've heard it all. Like, you guys can go search out those videos if you want to know those answers. I want to know like some funny stories about like your childhood that maybe we hadn't heard.
Oh,
yeah, like what type
A
of
lot
kid
of
were you in like elementary
uh,
school?
only child, which is I think very foundational to the semi mature person that I've become. And also made me a terrific mark for Kenny because he grew up with an older brother who was constantly
Oh,
pranking
ball
him
busting.
and fighting with him. I had none of that experience. So
right.
uh, his deviousness was a necessity of life where I didn't have to have that. So it was a very good combination that way, good chemistry. I guess the main thing, divorced parents both had substance abuse issues.
Hey,
Mhm.
same.
Yeah, and
Shout out.
shout it, and but they loved me and they were good people fundamentally. They weren't abusive, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had a cousin, Marjorie, who was really on the like one of two of the first female stand-up comedians in Canada. And
Oh
oh, that's
wow.
she went
cool.
on to have a really good career and ended up at the end of her life, because she's dead now, unfortunately, writing for Seinfeld. She was one of the staff writers on Seinfeld.
Wow,
Wow.
She wrote,
that's
Awesome.
awesome.
yeah, she wrote the Fusilli Jerry episode, which is the Ass Man. She
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
the move where the mechanic steals Jerry's move, that was hers. The one with the shower head, that was hers. She
Oh,
had a
those are all
Wow.
great. Yeah.
she did great.
Classics.
In the
So she
later
was
later
my hero.
seasons.
She was my hero. I used to fall around like a puppy dog when they would sneak me into comedy clubs and I'd watch her work. Um,
Wow.
and she really turned me on to the Beatles, which was really the most probably influential thing in my life, was just finding art in such a glorified way. Uh,
Hmm.
and just following that. She was deeply into the Beatles. She was also very into old school comedy. Used to take me to see, Marx Brothers movies and
There you
you know,
go.
and Charlie Chaplin, Marx Brothers, all those guys. They're fundamentally just the greatest as far as I'm concerned, and the original. So it just, I watched her go out to LA and succeed. I watched her, do all kinds of stuff. And I guess I followed in her footsteps. I never got as successful as she did, but it didn't matter because I'm really, unfortunately, everybody thinks I'm in it for the money. But if I was really into money, I don't think I'd be doing this. I don't make that
No.
much money, but I love creativity, basically.
I love it.
So did
Yeah.
her you know, getting you involved with listening to the Beatles and all that, does that where your want to learn guitar came from, or?
No, actually not. That came about through the blues and through this guy that my mother ran away from my dad with. He was an actor. And I used to go out and
Wow.
visit her when I was a kid. She went to California, and he turned me on to an album called Hard Again, Muddy Waters, Johnny Winter. Uh, and that just, the blues is the kind of thing you either like it and love it, or you kind of don't understand it or care for it. I was obviously the former. And from that moment on, I tried to learn to play guitar, and I'm still learning. And I saw a guy many years later, that David Carradine. I'm not really name dropping. It's the guy who ran away with my mom was David Carradine's best friend at the time.
Oh
So when
wow.
I met David, he told me
So
about this
wild.
this guy named John Hammond, and I'd never heard of him. And I went to see him when he came to Toronto. He did a week at this place called Cafe on the Park, which is no longer there. And I went to the early show the first day, and he was a solo musician. He had a 12-string guitar, he had a resonator like this, and a regular 6-string acoustic, and he blew my fucking mind. He blew harmonica and sang, and he's just incredible. I went to every one of his shows. He got so used to seeing me, invited me to his table, and we broke bread together. So he sort of
That's crazy.
That
he
is
became
wild.
what I wanted to be in terms of a musician. Uh, and I still play. It's like my yoga. Golf is sort of the same way. The things that, the very few things in life I can kind of, blinder out all the things that are going on with family, social media, politics, and just
Right.
focus on something that just makes me really happy. And I'm a kind of like another reason, big difference between Kenny and I. Kenny sees life about taking shortcuts and getting the most out of it, which is not an invalid thing. Sometimes I
Yeah.
wish I was more like that. And I'm
Yeah.
more of the old school. You suffer, you work hard, you have
Yeah.
discipline. And
Amen, brother.
Yeah,
yeah,
you earn your success or whatever. You earn your talent.
it's not really about the success. It's about, and I don't believe in talent. It's just about seeing the process of starting out and not being able to tune a guitar, and now I can play 3 sets of music in a bar and get paid for it. That's a
Right.
Right.
it's a journey that had a good ending. It's not over yet. I'm going to continue to play and get better. So that's what I love about it, is the when the hard work pays off. And we seem to live almost in the culture. You guys are a bit older, but the young kids I see with their phones and everything, they're going to miss out on a lot of that struggle, that story arc of a life.
Hmm.
Right.
And I think they'll be worse off for it spiritually and mentally, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
the world
in
is focused on creating more instant gratification rather than less, and so it's just becoming so common that, I mean, yeah, I talk to 18-year-olds nowadays, and I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, what is anybody teaching you? But
Well, it's hitting
it's
a tipping point now where you see kids that and they're still a minority, who are in universities, living on camp, in an encampment to protest a war that they have little to no understanding of, that have been co-opted, and this is my opinion, but I think I can prove it, by a very dark group of people, the Islamists, and they want to burn down everything, which is really their attraction to the whole Islam thing. And I'm just, I'm old school, and I think democracy is a fucking amazing thing. I'm a centrist. I don't believe in extremes. I think extremes are dangerous and they're stupid. Uh,
right.
we'll see how things go, but the extremes are on the left and the right, as I see them, and it's It's something that people in the middle, the vast majority of people, need to be aware of, because all it takes is like a depression or some kind of tumultuous societal issue that can make people in droves go to one of those extremes, and then you end up with, communism, fascism, the stuff that hopefully none of us have grown up in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. My feeling is that, like, either way, one way or the other, I've never understood how you could be fully into, left, right, that,
Right.
because I have differing views. If I were to choose one side, I'd be like, well, I agree with some of this,
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
but how do you agree with absolutely everything? And do you have to be a part of the group, or
Well,
like how does that all work?
then you don't vote, which is really my protest. And a lot of people that know me,
same.
they're upset at me because I mean, you're in the States, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so I know probably more about American politics than Canadian politics, but we have a similar. We've got a left-wing guy, Justin Trudeau, who's young and kind of woke, and we've got this guy Pierre Poilievre on the right, who's kind of a Trump wannabe, and I don't like either of them, and I refuse to bow down to either of them because of, for example, with Trudeau, you'll get more social programs, left-wing stuff,
Right.
which I'm not super wealthy, so it does help my family, but I'm not going to overlook the dark side of that side. Then I'd be selling out as far as I'm concerned. But so,
So you
this
just have those two as like
no, there's
candidates, or there's
there's
some independent type?
four parties. There's an NDP party, which is Americans would have no clue how left wing. Like, there's nothing, like these are people that are left of the squad, and sort of the left Democrats that are, in Congress, that are pushing Biden to be less centrist. The AOCs, the Rashid, or whatever the hell her name is, Bernie Sanders. Uh, we have a party called the NDP party, and they're very, very heavily socialist. Um,
Okay.
you know,
This is a different vibe than we're used to on this podcast, because none of us three are very political,
yeah. I've always been.
and and so it's like I wish I had basically what I'm saying is I wish I had a better response to what you're saying, because you're obviously,
Just agree with me.
okay, you're right. Yeah. I'll vote. I'll come to Canada and vote for the guy you're voting for.
Well, that's always been
I'm
my
not
issue.
voting.
Nobody.
You're not
That's the
listening.
point. Yeah.
I
nobody.
know. I'm gonna vote for nobody.
But he's gonna go to Canada to do it.
That
To not
isn't
vote.
not knowing politics. That's not listening. Those are separate
Yeah.
things.
Too much tequila. My bad.
No, but I'll tell you this: you might be happier not being involved with it, because I've always been into politics. I read a lot of books, post-internet, post-social media, and
Mhm.
now with social media, it really, if you want to have an opinion and shout about things, it is draining emotionally. The mental health goes down. Uh,
That's kind of why we kind of stick away from it, I
yeah,
think.
it's
A
smart.
lot.
It's actually
It's just
Yeah,
smart.
it's just a
exhausting.
it's just a leech.
I have my own
I don't need it.
opinions and whatnot, but I kind of just keep them in my head
Yeah,
for
no,
the
fair.
most part.
I want to do that, but I'm easily triggered, and I can't stand people that I disagree with, that I find to be not thoughtful. Like, it's like politics post social media has become almost like sports, what sports used to be.
Oh yeah, it
Team
pretty much
Trump and Team
is.
Biden, you can talk to them about the issues. They don't really know what the fuck they're talking about, because there's a lot of issues, and there's a lot of complexity and nuance. So for a guy
And if
like
you
me,
only
it's
hear
very
one
frustrating.
side,
Huh?
and if you only hear one side,
Well,
like,
that's another. I don't. I'm so obsessed with it that I listen to both sides and the middle, because I
yeah.
find it fascinating. But
Well, there's too many people that are just reiterating what somebody told them as if it's fact, and they don't even understand what it means, but they
right.
will tell you as if it's like concrete,
Well,
and
I'll
Oh
tell you
yeah.
something what you'd find very interesting. I find a lot of Canadians don't even know this movie. It's called The Agents of Chaos. It's an HBO documentary. I'm blanking on the guy's name who directed it, but he's done a few things on Scientology. But an American should know about this, and it was a lot to do with the the impeachment of Donald Trump. Is that Vladimir Putin and the Chinese communists, to a certain extent, they have a vested interest in us fighting with each other and being divided. That really helps them in their cause because they're dictatorships essentially. And so Putin, and specifically, this film is about this office building in St. Petersburg, Russia, that's just filled with computers and very sophisticated. I don't know if they're trolls, but they know how to build fake news videos, as well as get people to fight with each other outside of their own country. They're just doing this on Putin's behalf, and it's a very real thing. So the whole Trump thing with Russia helping him, no question in my mind, whether he was innocent or guilty or impeached or not impeached, it happened. It's happening. It's continuing to happen, and most people aren't really aware of it. They're reading stuff on the internet that was built and made propaganda in Russia, thinking that they're reading American news sources. It's fucking wild.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Those centers. It's like a call center of people just putting
Exactly.
out misinformation and propaganda.
Exactly.
It's fucking wild.
Mass amounts of it. And they try to turn elections. There's no question Putin would like Trump in power. There's no question about it. First of all, Trump's like a fanboy of Putin. Like, why wouldn't he want him in?
Which is crazy when you find that. Like when that first came out, I was like, "Oh shit, nah." Like, who
Well,
would
it's
have thought
not
they'd
really
even know
crazy.
each
It makes
other?
total sense because Trump is only into himself, so he really doesn't give a fuck about anything. I believe this fully,
Yeah.
100%, and I think I can back it up. So he wants power, and he wants to make money off of his power and have control and get revenge on his enemies. Putin is a billion times smarter and much more sneaky. And Putin was a KGB agent. I mean,
No, he's terrifying. That guy.
yeah.
Like what he knows, what he's done, the power he has, and to be involved with the leader of the free world, that whole thing. Like that's a lot under your belt, man.
Yeah, and by
Yeah.
the way, Trump's the main reason for loving Putin was because he wanted to open up Trump buildings in Russia. It was purely a narcissistic business thing,
Just a
which
money
very,
grab.
very Trump thing to do.
exactly. Anyways, if you want to
Swing
rein
his
it into
golden
something a
cock
little less,
around.
Dude, I just have anxiety now because this is
that's
the
what I'm
reason I
telling
don't
you.
listen to politics. I'm like
I'm
all
telling
stressed
you,
out now.
I'm telling you, that's exactly right. I have anxiety all the time,
Does it just happen when you get, not to call you old, but when you get older, does it become more of a thing where you have
It's
to
up.
look
You
at
have
it?
a choice. You have a choice whether A, to be affected by it or even be aware of it. I'm for a number of reasons made the choice to do both. But the busier I get and the more I want to make money, the less going on social media and arguing with strangers that could actually be Russian bots. It makes
Right.
a lot less sense, and it does have an
Uh-huh.
effect on your happiness and your mental health. 100%. I mean, they're going to look back on this era in, I don't know, 50 years, and they'll be writing about how crazy people were because they didn't understand what was happening. They didn't understand the power of the technology. They didn't understand who was behind the technology, the manipulations,
Right.
the algorithms, all that stuff. It's I know,
Does sorry to cut you off.
no problem.
Does AI scare you in like
Yeah, it does. To
with
be honest,
art and
I don't know
like
that much about it, but
I don't
everything
either.
I've heard about it, it's exactly what I said before. It's rather than taking the painstaking time to learn about something and write about something, you have a machine doing it for you. That's going to have a really bad effect on human beings' cognitive abilities because the brain is a muscle. Most
Yeah.
people don't even read anymore, right? They don't.
Oh yeah.
I even don't read as much as I used to be, but I was at a time I was younger that's what you did. You watch TV and you read. And but if you don't read books when you're younger and develop that muscle, chances are you're not going to, pick up books in your 40s and 50s. You're just not going
Yeah.
to
Right.
you're going to get all your
Uh,
information from television and the internet.
It's
Oh man.
terrifying.
I had a
Also
coworker
hard.
telling me he wanted to read a book, and I was like, I have that book. And I was like, I'll bring it tomorrow. I'll let you borrow it. He's like, no, it's
Mhm.
I don't really want to read it if it's not on Audible or something. I'm like,
Well,
Like that's not reading.
Audible's at least something. I mean,
Yeah.
and it is. It's just I was like, I'm giving you access to this information, man. Like, what are you talking about? You
yeah,
gotta turn the
people,
page. That's it.
we can't
It's
focus.
almost
Like we're on a technology that gives us a focus time. I think I've heard it's 10, 12 seconds. You can't read books, fiction, nonfiction. I don't give a fuck. If your attention span is even in the 3 minute range, it just won't happen.
it's
Yeah.
true. And like I talked to our buddy Justin who does a podcast, and I mean we started this podcast as a goof, as just something to do, not expecting to get any fame or anything from it. But I love, first of all, I love listening to podcasts, mostly like comedy podcasts
I
throughout the
do.
day. But it's almost, and he told me he's like long form podcasts are going away. It's about
Right. So
capturing the clips, clipping it and putting it on TikTok, and that's where you're gonna get the money. And I'm like, I hate that.
I
Bothers
remember
me.
with Dick Cavett, you probably don't even know who he is, but he was one of the first sort of talk shows that where he'd have a guest on for the full hour, one guest. No
Oh,
sketches,
okay.
no band, no anything, and you get an in-depth conversation. So Audible, I think, is the only hope uh, for having nuanced thoughts and knowing a lot of information and deciding for yourself what you believe. Because I'm of the television generation. I fucking love TV. I do. I
Mhm.
always have and always will. And when you think about it, Audible is just and audiobooks are just, it's without the pictures, so you
Yeah.
have to go
Yeah,
through the
you got to use your
formality of
imagination a bit too.
reading.
Well,
Yeah.
I remember a lot of times, shout out South Park here. But I had seen the South Park episodes so many times that I used to just like listen to them while I was playing video games.
Yeah.
And I would just have them in like another window on my computer. So I literally couldn't see it at all. But I had seen them so many times that I would just
Yeah, you know
listen to
what's going
all of
on.
them and know
Those
what's
guys
going
are
on
those
on
guys. I
South
don't know
Park.
if they read or not. We worked with them. Zach would know this, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
very smart. They know exactly what they're doing. They're skewering everybody. They're not taking a position, which is probably in terms of money and business, a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Uh, but I wouldn't be surprised if they read. I'll tell you a true story. When we finally met Matt and Trey, they were in Toronto doing the DVD release for Team America, one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's a book that I've been crazy about most of my life called Denial of Death. And I gave Matt and Trey each a copy as a thank you for the time they spent with us. And this was before they signed on to Kenny versus Spenny or vice versa.
Uh-huh.
And what I heard was that they actually threw them away at the airport because they didn't like them around. Who knows? But I'm pretty sure somebody's a reader in that duo, if not both.
Oh man. I mean, they're calculated. They know exactly what they're doing. It's amazing how they're still not in trouble after all the shit they've put out. And they just ride that line so perfectly that
Yes,
you're like, they're geniuses. I mean,
Yeah, dude, that shit they did
I would agree with. I would agree
with
not my
Token was
favorite people that I've met and hung out with, and I'm sure they would say the same about me. But as far as their work goes, they're incredible.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah, we've heard Kenny's version of that story a couple times, but
Yeah, it was a story. That was
Was
I
it
was
fictional?
a bad drunk. What?
Was it fictional? His story?
I don't know what he said on your show. He was
Uh,
on your show.
no,
no.
Zach said we've heard it. I haven't heard it once. I don't know what's
No.
If
I
he
his
just
talks
story.
about me getting drunk and turning over tables and being a wild man, then it's true.
That sounds like a fun guy to me.
he had one of those
Yeah,
nights. It happens.
there was,
Yeah.
honestly, Kenny is not a selfless person. He's a very selfish person. They were just two guys to me. I knew who they were, but I didn't really give a fuck. Kenny would know because I know him so well, the importance of that relationship and nurturing that relationship. So he I was the one that actually met them. I was the one that called Kenny when I was in their limousine heading to their hotel to get wasted.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I have no doubt they would like him more than me. I couldn't care less, to be honest with you. But what he did that night, in my mind, was he will say it was for the good of myself and the show and everything. He plucked them away from me, kept in touch with them. He wants those relationships. I could give a shit, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I
Fair
mean,
enough.
I don't know. I get that it's a good work move, you know, business, but like, I don't know. I've
They stiffed me with a $600 bill. They're like fucking multimillionaires, you know.
Were that
I
wait,
acted like a complete asshole that night, but I have to say they and their buddies more than them were encouraging me 100%. And then I got to blackout stage that I don't really remember. I got thrown out of the bar we
Oh.
were in.
They were just trying to turn you into show Spenny.
No, Matt the next day in the paper was interviewed and he said we hung out with Kenny and Spenny last night and those guys are fucking for real. Like they didn't. And then they ended up executive producing season 4 on Comedy Central, and you know that happened because of those guys. They have a lot of weight they can throw around at Comedy Central. They were their first big hit show. I think they
Yeah.
might
Right.
own a piece of the network. I'm not sure, but
They have to. Like they are Comedy Central, I would
yeah.
say.
Well, Matt
Especially
Matt in
now.
particular was the one who did all the arm lifting, heavy lifting, and you know, to get us there. And for that, I'll always be appreciative. The reality was the show was never destined to do well in the States because it wasn't a Comedy Central show. It was a co-production at that point. And you know, what are they going to put their advertising revenue into? They're going to put them into Sarah Silverman's show, The Daily Show, shows that they own lock, stock, and barrel. So I'm not particularly surprised. Disappointed because I paid attention when we were released. The fact that you saw it is amazing because they kept changing the time slot.
Yeah, I remember
It
that.
was always hard to get a hold of it. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah, because
I mean,
well, first of all, Doug Herzog, who ironically is Canadian, he was running Comedy Central when they took us on, and he never liked us at all. He knew us from Canada. He didn't like our humor. He didn't. So there are so many ways
didn't
we were
like your humor. You guys were
Loser.
fucking shitting in diapers and stuff. How is
like,
that not
dude,
universal?
Well, maybe not yet, but
you
yeah.
know, this is what you deal with. It's a business. There are certain executives that have power, and they can make or break you. I'm not disappointed, but I'm not surprised. I mean, this is the way the business works.
Yeah, and I mean your Kenny versus Spenny was I'm trying to think, kind of like crude humor and a lot of times.
Kind of
Well,
I don't know
mean.
if
I
that's
think
the
on the surface it was very crude. Obviously, Kenny's content.
right.
I think when you break it down comedically, it was a straight man, wild man act, so to speak.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was a straight man, obviously. And but
not gay.
under the surface, there was a lot of issues that guys in particular could relate to with their buddies. Uh,
Yeah,
you know,
Oh yeah,
100%.
man. It's like
teasing.
y'all got the cool chill friend and y'all got the wild crazy friend, you know, like
yeah. The antagonist that's just always he just loves fucking with the dude that gets bothered by it.
I don't want
And,
to get
and the
us
reality was he never liked sharing the spotlight with me. He could say that he does once in a while, but or give me my props, but he resents it because he's Kenny. He wants everything for himself, and that's who he is. And you know,
I mean,
and
it makes
if
it
he
makes
wasn't that
perfect
way, the
sense.
show wouldn't be successful. So
That's true. That is true.
and yet you were so necessary for him to reach where he got.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
of course. But you know what he's done lately, which is you know, he's built an army of fucking loser asshole trolls and Kenny dick suckers that harass and troll me nonstop. I got kicked off of Reddit on the Kenny versus Spenny because I stand up for myself, right?
Shut up, dude.
Spenny gets kicked off.
Why would they kick you off? Isn't that what
Because
they want?
I
Is
told
for
the
you to
trolls that I fucking hated them and I didn't like them and they were losers, idiots, and the guy who runs it said, look, you're creating a whole fucking really toxic environment here. Of course, that's not true.
Oh, go fuck
They were
yourself.
creating the environment. But am I
Yeah.
supposed to actually sit there and spread my ass cheeks and let them fucking say,
Well,
they talk about my family, child support issues, how I have
Yeah, fuck
talent,
that.
how Kenny's better than me, how without Kenny, you'd be, sucking off homeless people. I mean, it's just an endless barrage that I've been dealing with
Oh my
for
God.
years.
it's bullshit because that's literally exactly what everybody there would want to happen. And obviously it's being choreographed by him, like, so why would they take it and act like you personally are
Well,
the problem?
because you know, there's certain things that Kenny's come up with they're so over the top. I rape pugs. I'm the, bum
Yeah.
alley rapist. We could go down the list of, they're so ridiculous. But then it's kind of gotten personal in a way that I don't like. And I've talked to Kenny about it. I go, I look at your commentaries you do with Sebi, and you're just bitching about me that have nothing to do with comedy. It has nothing to do with the show. You're bringing up grudges, and everything he brings up is always going to be twisted in his favor because that's who he is.
Nuts rubbing? Set them free with Nut Thong. Bringing more free nuts to the world than Five Guys burgers and fries.
Hey guys, sorry, I'm running out of time, but let's get.
You're good.
No,
No
you're
worries.
good. Just happy to have you.
Oh
That
no,
was
Of course.
well,
a
Zach,
great
Zach
sponsor.
has been doing some work for us that he's not compensated for. So in lieu of that, I thought this would be the right thing to do. And you guys are great, so I'm having fun. I've just been a
Hey.
real long day.
Oh, well, you look great. I was just telling Zach that your hair looks awesome and I'm jealous of it.
I was going to say the same thing.
I wore my wife's glasses yesterday, and somebody said I look like a lesbian. So when I had the long hair with the bandana, I looked like a lesbian, and I dyed it. Now I don't dye it, and with short hair, and I still look like a lesbian. So
I
I'm
mean,
a
you're a
degenerate,
pretty
man.
sexy lesbian. No, but I was going to ask you if you dyed it for a bit and then just decided to
yeah,
let it go.
I've dyed my hair for 25 years, and I just got too busy and thought I'd. You can still see
Right.
it's all white here because I cut that pretty close, but
I like it. You look something. You look like something.
distinguished.
Lesbian.
Distinct, like a Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
get that salt and pepper going. Z, didn't we have some so we have some themes of the podcast that we talk about,
Sure.
mostly just like farts and dicks and fingering ladies and stuff, but
Right up
didn't we
my
have some that we wanted to ask Spenny about just to keep it light?
I have a question, Spenny.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this has been a crux between the rest of us. Do you believe in wet dreams?
Yes, I've had them.
Thank you. Fucking thank you.
I've
Let's
also
go.
wet my bed. That's another kind of wet dream.
Okay, I've been there
Yeah.
too. I also pissed on my friend when I was too drunk, so I've been through it all.
Wait, so you've come in your shorts or boxers or
At
briefs?
night, you're basically having a sex dream, and you get carried away. Yeah, that's happened to me. Maybe I don't know, 3 times in my entire life, but yeah, it's happened.
Okay.
Only 3, so
Yes,
it's a
yes.
rarity.
We'll note it
Yeah.
down. It's a
It's
a
super
general
rare.
type of guy that sorry, I'm noting it down right now. 'Cause
Shut the
I
fuck
have a whole
up.
spreadsheet going.
Shut the fuck up.
It's a general type of guy.
The fuck does that even mean?
Well,
Bullshit.
we'll see when my
Well,
study's
you're
over.
dealing. I'm very honest. I'm honest to a fault. So go
I
ahead.
love it.
Hey,
Spenny,
I feel ya.
I not to like toot your guys' horn a little too, or whatever the word is, toot your
Well,
horn.
guys isn't a word. So just say,
Guys is
Ah, loser.
uses and Kenny's horns. I don't know. A lot of the time I feel so brave to just joke about, sucking at sex or having a small dick or whatnot.
Joke.
Because, well, Jay, okay. But because of you guys. I mean, Because you guys
Oh,
are
yeah.
willing to like shit your pants on TV
We're
and
we're,
like,
we're definitely pre-woke. We've had a few incidences where at the live shows where certain woke people have been angry with us and have come
yeah,
afterwards, especially Kenny, because every other word out of his mouth is rape. So, uh,
yeah,
you
they don't
know,
like that word.
yeah.
No.
Well,
It
it's
doesn't
not.
fly.
Look, I will always fight for what my generation, I guess, had. Because this whole woke thing, when it comes to comedy, is a non-starter with me. And aspects of the woke we're seeing come to fruition in ways in which is pushing me towards the right rather than the left. But
Mhm.
yeah, they do all that stuff. They cancel. I mean, we were essentially canceled. So when we're on the road, we're playing, butt fuck wherever, and I go, we've been canceled, and the audience goes, no. I go, well, you know how you know? Because we're fucking here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not on TV anymore. We're in butt fuck Idaho. Trying to make a buck.
Shout
Hey,
out Idaho.
shout out Idaho.
Hey, dude, we're not all bad.
It's
Well,
funny that
wait a sec. Doesn't what's her name? Kim Basinger have a place out there?
Probably.
Olivia doesn't know any one
I remember
celebrity
hearing Vin
that lives
Diesel
in
did.
Idaho.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
it's
say I've
supposed to
heard
be
Vin
beautiful. I
Diesel.
probably would fucking love it. It's kind of like Montana, right? That
Oh,
kind of.
it's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
come and stay at my apartment since I can't afford a fucking house at 32.
Well,
It's
Yeah.
it's
beautiful.
funny
I
you
hope.
mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned that. The one of the reason why wokeism and far left politics is where it is because older generations, older than me and probably my generation, we've kind of used up all the money, and your generation is kind of paying for it. So I get that anger.
Hey.
Don't even
Yeah.
worry about it,
Thanks,
dude.
boomers.
I'm just saying, I'm an honest guy. There's
It's
no
all we
question
know.
that dynamic is happened. But I don't know. I always thought that, if you're going to hinge your happiness upon making money and owning things, you're probably going to be disappointed anyways. So best to find things in life that are,
Dude,
fun,
that
Preach.
affordable,
I
and
love that.
that is so correct
Yeah.
and well
I
said.
love it.
Yes, absolutely. Because I mean, money's great to a point. I've literally always said, as long as I can buy the shit I want, I mean, obviously not in excess. Like I can't go out and buy a fucking Lamborghini or whatever, but I
But
can
there's nothing wrong with
afford.
that either. But just understand the system is made for very, very wealthy people to stay wealthy and get wealthier. And that's the system that, whether they realize it or not, a lot of people are bucking against. Where that's
Yeah,
why I'm a centrist, because if you're in the middle, then everybody gets something. There's always going to be very wealthy and very poor. That's just going to be the way it is. It's human nature. But I'm into spreading it out to the most amount of people if possible. But they have to work for it. That's
absolutely. Like
Fair
the whole
enough.
thing about what was it Bernie Sanders wanted to do? What was it called? Where they just send you a check every month.
Well, it wasn't
So,
Bernie. I don't.
oh,
That was
the
Chang Wang or whatever his name was, Michael Chang. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Probably
that's it.
Chang Wang, you
It's all
know.
Chang. I
right.
think his name is Michael Chang. He went off the deep end after he didn't do well as a Republican. Yeah, that seems weird to me, to be honest with you, because as you heard me say earlier, I think tremendous happiness and meaning comes from work. And if you
Mhm.
try to
Absolutely.
avoid work, and especially if you get a lot for doing very little, I think that you're missing a piece of the puzzle that's probably going to make you kind of empty inside, right? But there's something about going out, doing an honest day's work, no matter what the fuck it is, providing for your family. It makes you feel pride, and it doesn't mean you're always going to be happy, but that's the way I think life should be.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Welfare. I
If
think
we
having a
had everything, I
well,
mean,
America, you
life would
have
be a shit
basically
show.
no social safety net. I lived in the States for 12 years. I don't know, maybe it changes from state to state, but it's Canada's a much more socialist country.
Mhm.
You have a lot of social safety nets. Some would say too many because people will take advantage of it and they won't have the work ethic. It's the same thing as I said about reading. You don't work or have a culture that values work. you're not going to work. You're not going to become a hard worker in your 40s and 50s if you just kind of sat around on a couch.
Yeah,
Well,
but if
exactly.
you're like a factory worker just to pay bills, and then you get that I think Jay, you were talking about
Stipend
that
or
universal basic income or whatever
Yes,
it
yes.
was.
that's it.
They
That's
send you a check. So you're in your 40s and 50s, and then that becomes a thing. Maybe you start, or you're now able to pursue some of the passions that you weren't able to
Hey,
previously.
I didn't shit on the idea. I have to look really hard into it.
I don't know anything
You know
about
that there
music,
would be
but
many people that would take advantage of it.
of course, yeah. Same
And
thing
that's
with
Oh,
the
yeah.
welfare
problem.
and all that.
It's like
But
exactly like you were saying. It would help me greatly to relieve a little bit of pressure
well, that's
where I
important.
could.
I think that's important too, you know. But then you've got the right wing that just doesn't want to give any money away to anybody for
Yeah.
anything. That's crazy. And then you've got the extreme left that wants to give probably too much. The answer's always in the middle, man. It's Aristotle. It's always in
Yep.
the middle. Everybody, there's an old saying in business: when you walk away from a business deal that's good, both sides should be disappointed a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh
And that's
yeah,
how I feel
yeah.
about politics. You know what I mean? You can't have
Yeah,
every
nobody wins fully.
yeah,
Gotta, yeah, somewhere in the
compromise. It's
middle.
called compromise. It's a very arcane word nowadays. Everybody,
So I know you're short for time. The next
I gotta go,
question
guys. Yeah.
that, oh, you gotta go
Oh, you
right
gotta
now?
go right
Oh
now.
no, give me one question and then I gotta run.
Well, I was gonna ask you how you feel about PC culture and it being pushed into movies and the media and all that.
You know, it's the same thing, man. If it's over pushed, then it becomes tyrannical and weird. If it's done with the understanding that there's many different diversities of sexual orientation, of culture, of races, you want everybody to have a piece of the pie. It's just finding that line. But
Yeah.
it seems to be run by people that are extremely radical, in my opinion, and you know, it's a bit much. And what it ends up doing, of course, is turning people off of it. So you end up with the exact opposite. But you know, the idea that you know, Martin Luther King, what did he say? The color of your skin, but the content of your character. I mean, I think that's got to be
Mhm.
important too. So you don't
Yeah.
want to necessarily be, but if you're black and you grew up in the ghetto, let's say, and you had no opportunity other than joining a gang and getting, you know, dealing drugs, that's not right either. So it's just a matter of finding a balance, and it's a very complex issue. People aren't born, you know, America's built on every man is created equal. Well, you know, that's just bullshit. I mean, on every level, they're not born into the same, you know, cultures. They're not necessarily given the same brain power or physical health issues. So you want to be a society that's, I think, ideally, I'm a stupid comedian. Don't ask me how you achieve this, but you want to be somewhat, you know, you want to be generous, but you don't want to give away the store too. You got to find that balance, and that's the center. That's the middle. That's all I fight for these days. And it's just it's a stupid time to be doing it because everybody's off fighting with each other on the extremes.
Well, I love the way you think, and I think that was very well put.
Oh, thank you.
No,
Yes.
seriously.
And
I've
you
agreed with
got,
just about everything you've said
yeah,
so
same.
far.
It's so, yeah,
Well,
with
you know,
almost
that happens too sometimes.
there's
But
gray area with everything.
yeah, but I'm also talking in very vaguities. So, you know, these are
Yeah.
very complex issues. I have, like I said, I have no idea how a government can do all that stuff, you know. So it's just, I'm just talking from artistic, creative bent of just general fairness that's reasonable in this world. I don't
Yeah.
like to,
Yeah.
But
you
that's
know,
a different insight than they have, I think. And I think it's
well,
important.
centrist, actually, no, the centrists, people who think like me, are probably the vast majority of Americans and Canadians. The problem is the loudest, most obnoxious is the ones we hear about. It's the ones the media
Squeaky
reports on,
wheel.
And
right?
that's
Squeaky
exactly what I
wheel.
mean is that's what everybody's hearing and seeing.
Yeah.
But
Right.
what you're
That's what you
saying
said
makes the
earlier. You're
most
right.
sense to me logically for everybody. Like,
No, because the people that are in the middle, their very nature is not to be radical and loud. They go
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
their lives. They work. They take care of their family. But it's going to take something really bad, unfortunately, to happen to wake up the middle. They're called the silent majority and say, "Fuck, we don't want this. This is bullshit." But they don't want to get out of their comfort zone to do that. I do because it's just my nature. But I find a lot of people, they don't really want to engage in this because it's divisive. It'll only when it affects them or they see something so blatantly bad that they
Right.
say, we don't want the country to go in this direction. And then they hopefully will elect a president and governors and senators that reflect that sort of centrist view. Used to have
Yeah.
it. I'm reading a book right now
Well,
on George H.W. Bush, W's father. I mean, he was the classic. He was right wing, but he was, kind of like Reagan. Like they weren't Donald Trump out. They weren't these Christo fascist nuts. You know what I mean? And the
Mhm.
same
Yeah.
with Clinton on the left. They were centrists. They weren't extreme, but extreme doesn't sell in the social media soundbite world, and that's what's behind it. But
And
guys,
I think,
thank you.
oh, sorry.
I love it. I love it. It was an honor to speak with
I'll
you. I
come. I
never
was telling
thought I
Zach, I'll
would.
come. I'll come on again. This was fun. I'm just really tired and I'm not feeling well. I've been coughing. So we'll do this again for sure.
You're
Hey,
good, man.
no,
I
great
appreciate it
talking to
for
you.
sure.
Yeah, Zach,
Seriously.
thank you for everything you do. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
He totally verified my wet dreams.
Dude, remember when I said there's
Uh,
a certain type of guy that has wet dreams?
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Betas.
It's a Spenny.
Well,
That's for
as long
sure.
as it's enough to get rid of my day job, dude, I don't give a fuck.
Z and I are over here just fucking flexing with our alpha dicks. We don't come unless we want to come.
I just wake up with a rock hard dick, dude.
I put
I
a
decide when I
stopper.
come.
I
I'm
put a
like,
stopper in
cum-
the tip.
My cum is all in there still when I wake up. That shit
Oh,
needs to be coerced out.
it's
it's
like a
just stuck in the
Twinkie.
tunnel trying to come out.
You put like a plug at the end.
It's a Twinkie, motherfucker.
Got a
You're gonna
fucking
get a yeast infection or
bubble
something.
right before that weird discoloration part under the head.
Yeah, I get a lot of UTIs.
Well, at least you're not a beta bitch that comes in his sleep. I don't
Oh,
know those
fuck
guys.
you.
I don't want to know those guys. They sound like horrible
Dude,
dudes.
I'm so mad because when he said I'll answer one more, and I like started talking, and he was like, "I gotta go." I was literally about to say, "Okay, now what about blue balls?" Because I really
I
fucking wanted to
know.
know.
We never found the answer.
I will say, Spenny, he left like Elvis. He's like, show's over, I'm out, and just shuts his laptop. We're like, all right, yep.
It's
He
like
literally
that.
was like, all right, yep.
Do you remember
Just
that
like,
episode of Seinfeld where George wants to go out on a high note every time? And he's like done with the meeting and he's like, all right, that's it for me. I'm out. And he just takes off in the middle of the meeting. Anyway,
Why
I
don't I
don't know it
remember that?
because
I
I've never
should.
watched the show, but
Spenny ended on a high note. That was good. Good job, Spenny.
yeah, it's
Jason-
a rock star move to be like, all right, peace out.
I'm just so mad that he looks this good. Like,
I know, dude. The
He-
last videos I've seen of him, and to your point, Jay, of him and I drinking and our faces getting red. He had like a big swollen red face, and his hair was longer, and it looked like he was going through it. And now he's just like he's got a guitar next to him. He's got posters everywhere, white hair that's all short. He looks good, is what I'm trying to say, Spenny. You look good.
He's a
dude,
good
that
man.
room looked cool as fuck. That looked like a man cave.
I know that's what I'm planning for my future
You're never gonna get
beat
there.
room.
Give
We
up.
had one of our legitimate idols on our podcast, boys. And
It's true, and to any of the foundlings that have not heard of Kenny versus Spenny, YouTube it and watch a few episodes. It's fucking grade A comedy. If you like
yeah,
what we do, then you're gonna love that. And there's how many seasons?
I want to say 3 or 4.
way more. Why are
I was
you
gonna say
throwing?
like
You're
6 or
putting
Are there
this
7.
out on
really?
me. It's on. I think 6.
6. They're full 6 seasons that all aired on Canadian television at one point before the PC man grabbed my nuts. But no, it's fucking It's beautiful, grade A comedy. It helped shape us as humans and as gay gentlemen.
It's
Dude,
hilarious. I mean,
I
it's
told my, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it's about two buddies competing in random challenges against each other,
Two
and
best friends
yes, it's a great show.
compete to challenge each other.
If you like Impractical Jokers, that wouldn't exist without Kenny versus Spenny.
Or any fucking YouTube, like of all the famous YouTubers now, it's like a challenge. We're gonna have a challenge. Me at work, who can throw the most blah blah blahs into the pool?
Let's see
That's
who can
all my
finish as many Beast energy drinks.
yeah. It's like all. It's not all my kids watch, but it's what they used to watch
They
before I
were
put the
like,
hammer down.
who can smoke the most weed? Who can eat the most
Who
meat?
can
Who
have the
can
loudest fart? Yeah, who can eat the most meat? That's
I
a fucking
love the meat
classic.
one.
The meat
drink
one was
more
great.
beer?
It smells like Thanksgiving.
And yeah, I'm not gonna give anything away. But there's a fun kind of twist to the show that you end up kind of being like, oh, I see what's going on here pretty fast.
What's your favorite episode, you guys? That might be a good way to end the podcast with Spencer Rice.
Dude, I had a good I'll think about it, but I thought of a good line while when I was on a walk with my daughter today because I was thinking about it. And I was like, I wanted to ask Spenny this, and it would be so cheesy, but I thought about it anyways. On the episode that you got dosed with acid, did anyone called you did anyone call you fried rice?
Hey,
That is so fucking good.
Is that good?
I love it.
It felt too cheesy.
that
No,
was
dude,
good.
that shit that caught me off guard. I was like, "What, fried octopus? You're a fucking bitch."
Is Octopus your favorite episode then?
No, I actually don't like that episode very much.
I didn't really either, just because it was so
Yeah,
all
it's
over.
too wompy, too waggly. I'm just making up word adjectives, wompy and wag. Um, no, for me it's the classics. It's the fart, who can fart the loudest, who can
That
come
one's
the
great.
most, who can eat the most meat. Those are like it's those the ones that just stand out to me. What else is there?
Yeah,
What are some of the
me,
big ones? Who can stay
me.
up the latest was a wild one.
That was a classic.
Girl, I heard you were.
What's your favorite, Z?
I always loved Who's Funniest. That's my favorite.
Is that where
When
they have to do like a stand-up set?
it's the one where Kenny gets that letter sent to Spenny in the mail that convinces him that he has AIDS.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And
That's in my
so
top 5.
he thinks he has AIDS the whole
Oh,
episode.
wait. No, I'm thinking of a different one. That one's fucking great. I think it's who can sell more Bibles where he convinces Spenny that his fucking Wompy the Walrus book that he wrote.
That was good.
And
Hubert the hippopotamus.
he gets him to fly out to like LA or something. Meanwhile, Kenny's just over there slinging Bibles. Is that how it went? I forget.
No, he
Kenny sold
sold
like
he,
two.
Sold one to
he's
Spenny.
he sold them to Spenny.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Spenny was like, fuck the
Oh yeah, he's like,
competition.
"I'll buy all of them. Go
I'm
fuck
in
yourself."
Hollywood now. I don't give a shit. Yeah.
Zach, you're in with Spenny. You should ask him off air if that is how it played out or if that's how they wrote it. Because I'd be curious. Either way, it's fucking great. But I would love to know if like they wrote it that way or if he actually got tricked.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
curious about is the behind the scenes of how it all operates. Like,
Yeah,
how do
because
they
it's a
decide?
mix, right?
It was
Yeah.
pretty convincing, but
Yeah, and that's the problem is they all are.
Well, I mean, for Spenny, all he has to do is become a great actor at being upset and annoyed all the time, and then like that's the show.
Which does make me wonder if that's what he was doing, or if it was actually upsetting, which it seems like it was, though.
Yeah, I mean, either way, it doesn't take anything away from the show for me. Maybe a little bit, but not very much.
nah.
I'm cool with all of it.
You guys
You
want to
know,
our dicks pierced? I got a guy.
Sure.
I have actually always wanted a Jacob's ladder.
What?
Yeah, except
Why?
when I tell people that, I always describe it as a Jacob's step ladder.
I was gonna, dude, you fucking asshole. I was gonna say the
I
same
never
thing.
knew my real ladder.
A Jacob step ladder. Jay, if you ever become a stand-up, that's a fucking bit right there. That's
I know, dude.
hilarious.
It's so good.
That's
Jacob's
hilarious.
step ladder. Like just 2 steps, please.
If you can fit three, we'll do it. But like one's through the tip of your dick, you're like, just do it.
Just don't want you to push it. You know what I mean?
They're piercing your sack all of a sudden. Okay.
I'm gonna jump in here because I feel like it's already forgotten. My favorite episode was, I think my favorite episode was who can rap, who's the better rapper.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I just loved the realness of it because it made him question if that was really a gang that was coming after him. Because I mean,
Oh, right.
who knows if that part was real where he offended them, but I loved that he offended them because at that time when I saw that episode, bro, I was on Adderall like a motherfucker,
Oh,
and
that's why you love it.
I was the best rapper I knew because that's what I was doing around that time was rapping, and I was just fucking like constantly rapping, dude. And so I'm like,
Dude, Adderall
when
plus weed, you're the best rapper on the planet.
exactly, and he's like, oh, rapping's pretty easy, and in my mind, I'm like, yeah, 100%, I agree. Obviously, drugs will do that. They make you perfect, and and it's probably not that easy. I'd probably suck now if I tried, but back then I'm like, that's a good question. Like, is it hard?
Dude,
My
one of the
dick's
last
hard. It usually gets hard by the end of the podcast.
and you know what else is hard?
Mike's.
Money?
Keep guessing, guys.
Oh, I'm off. Okay, I thought I
Try
had it.
harder.
Um,
Fucking idiots.
Predator, Alien, um,
Getting warmer-ish.
Freddy Krueger,
Older. Jay, you got to throw some things out.
Child's Play. Why am I on horror movies?
um, milk production.
Okay, let me say this. What's hard to get? What's hard to get?
A boner.
Money. I had it right the first time. I said money,
I'm
motherfucker.
sorry. I think Zach talked over you or did unintentionally, not your fault, Z, but it's fucking money. You fucking
Heavenly money, heavenly money.
We fucking
my
did
mic.
it.
I'm doing
Oh,
my
talked-
mic this week.
We talked to a
Holy-
white man.
Holy
We talked
shit.
to an elderly white man.